Again, the word of the Lord Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, behold, they of the house of Israel say, The vision that he seeth is for many days to come, and he prophesieth of the times that are far off. Therefore say unto them, Thus saith the Lord Power, There shall none of my words be prolonged any more, but the word which I have spoken shall be done, saith the Lord Yahweh Power. Ezekiel chapter 12, verse 26 to 28. Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha, Kodash, and double honor to our venerable apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and peace and blessings to the Lord's elect, the house of David. All right, so Brother Haran coming back at you with another lesson, low, willing to be edifying and uplifting unto the elect. All right, and I have an article I want to go into real quick, and I'm going to jump straight to the point, right? It's titled, China's Digital ID Nightmare, a Blueprint for Global Tyranny. All right, and before I jump into this article, I just want to make a note. Basically, my main page, the Lightbringer 144K page, I'm not going to be uploading on that page for a while because I have 2 strikes on there. And with the way YouTube is moving, I do expect them to hit me with a 3rd strike. So, I might be on there, I might not be on there for the most part, but, I'll be working on the on this page, the backup page for now. All right. So subscribe and be edified, Lord willing. All right. But again, just focusing more on prophecy, right? Because that's really why we're here, right? Prophets, what we do is prophesy, and of course, prophecy is only a prophecy before it happens, right? You're saying it before it happens, and once they happen, then the prophecy has been fulfilled, right? So the Lord has given us a whole bunch of prophecies to prophesy about, and one of them is going into the time of Jacob's trouble. Okay, now we always talk about, the calamities, the famines, the pestilences, all these things that's written in the scriptures to happen, right? They show you in the movies all the time. Like they got these diseases that go rampant, take out a whole bunch of people. You have these post-apocalyptic scenes and so on and so forth, right? So it's all predictive programming. Okay, that's what Esau does, right? But on the right-hand side, it's called prophecy, letting you know things before they happen. Okay, so one of the biggest things that we've been talking about is ultimately the MOTB, prophecy being fulfilled, right? And we're seeing the steps that Esau has taken to get to that point. Okay, and in this article here, it says China's digital ID nightmare, a blueprint for global tyranny. Okay, he calls it all, right? So China is like a testing ground, so to speak. Okay, it's like a testing ground. A lot of things that they're doing over there. Remember what Klaus Schwab said, that the Chinese model is a very attractive model. So in other words, how the Chinese people are going about things, and even Trump has bigged him up. He bigged up the so-called president of China. Okay, Xi Jinping. All right, he bigged him up, talking about how, he likes how he's able to command, over 2 billion people, and he has all those people under his command, so to speak. Whatever he says goes type shit. He was like, yo, that's to him is like, wow, that's amazing. Because Trump is all about power. All right. But yeah, so, these articles that we go into is all biblical prophecy. Okay. The Lord is literally unfolding these prophecies on a daily basis. And every article we go into, it sounds similar because that's what a warning is. All right, it's a warning to keep on keeping on until the warning is no longer needed. At that point, the troubles are here, right? So it may sound redundant, okay, but each and every time we go into these articles, it shows you how closer we are to these prophecies being fulfilled, right? Every single time we go into them, it's like, damn, it gets closer and closer. It gets more dystopian. Sci-fi becomes, more real. It's like, damn, we're that close, right? Who would have thought 10 years ago, reading something like this that we're about to get into, would be so like, okay, cool. Just another day, we're hearing things about digital IDs, 10 years ago, hearing something like this, it was like, whoa, hey, this ain't digital ID. Like, you know, but we hear it, and that's this. We always have that reaction, like, yo, this ain't this. You know, at least me, at least, you know. But anyway, let's get into this. It says, China's government has taken yet another monumental step toward absolute digital control. Beginning this week, Beijing will roll out a centralized digital ID system that links every user online, or every online user, to a government-assigned code. A code tied not just to names, but to facial scans and vast troves of personal information. And that, my friends, and that will be where you get the word, or in the prophecy of Revelation 13:16 and 17, 16 verse, Revelation chapter 13, verse 16, 17, and 18, all right, the word graphos, okay, comes up. All right, the word graphos comes up when you go into the word charagma. Okay, when you kind of get into the word, the mark, right? You're going to end up seeing the word graphos. Now, the graphos, okay, is basically your data. All right, in modern day terms, that's your data, your personal information, and what you're using that information for, because it's going to be required. Okay, so just like it says here, all right, it's a code, right? Your data tied not just to names, but to facial scans and vast troves of personal information. Okay. And earlier today, I believe I saw Elder Abbas Dahar went into a lesson on the wearables. Okay. And how much of a trap the system really has become. Okay. And what they're trying to build it to become. All right. It goes every now and again. We talk about the Panopticon, right? Right now, we're looking at 1984 playing out. All right, Big Brother's watching and all these different things. It's playing out right now. But it's happening. It's almost like a soft coup. You know what I'm saying? It's happening, right, very quickly. But it's done so cleverly that people don't even see it as a threat. You see? Until it's too late, when they notice that, damn, this whole time we just kept agreeing, download and agree. So now we've agreed to all these different things that they've put out there to the point where we can't turn back. And we're going to turn around and look at them and be like, we never went down that rabbit hole with you. So you can't turn back. We standing, we still right there. We're not moving. Okay? You went down to Egypt for help, and now look at you. It says the regime claims it will protect privacy. But make no mistake, this is not about privacy. It's about power. For years, China has enforced a real name registration policy, meaning most online activities were already linked to users' identities. Damn. And that's what they're trying to do here in America and around the world. Okay, I believe somebody from Spain, it might be either parliament, one of these men from the parliament, or the president or prime minister or whatever. But it was somebody who came out about a few months ago. And he said that the days of internet anonymity, all right, is over. Okay, moving forward, you know, all these platforms should be tasked with making sure that all users, all right, are identifiable, and the system actually picks up on who's who and so on and so forth. Right, so no more online anonymity. You can't create a fake name and just run around typing all kinds of crazy shit in people's comments and running away. No, getting away with it. No. This time, everything you say, watch, do, right, comment, like, is all tied to your actual government name. See? And it runs through a database, and they're using that as a social credit system. All right? Again, we're just telling you before it happens. Okay? It says, but now that data pipeline will bypass companies like Alibaba or Weibo and flow directly into the hands of the state. Beijing alone will oversee this identification system, making it the master key to every Chinese citizen's digital life. And that's what you're seeing here in America too. Okay, the whole Real ID concept. Okay, the Real ID concept is what's bringing in that state control / federally controlled lifestyle, if you will. All right. So it says, if that doesn't unsettle you, it should. Under the new policy, Chinese citizens must submit biometric data, including facial scans, in exchange for a single ID that grants access to everything from shopping and gaming to communicating with coworkers. Do you hear that? It says, on paper, this is voluntary, and that's in quotes. But experts rightly suspect that it will soon become impossible to live or work without it. Do you hear that? That no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark. So the infrastructure is being built. Okay, and then once it's built, we always say this, once it's built, they'll just transition you right into it. And they'll do it nicely. It's gradualism, but accelerated gradualism. Okay, because remember, people's attention span has been cut short. Okay, so you notice the days are moving faster and faster and faster, and that's because of how much, or a part of the reason is because we're consuming so much information in a day that, for example, if you're watching like videos on your phone throughout the day, you might end up watching, like, if you like on some like binge watching type of spirit that day or whatever, you might end up watching through the day maybe an hour video here, 45 minutes here, 30 minutes here, 2 hours over here, right? That's all part throughout the day. So you're getting through these videos, right? Whether it's for edification or whatever the case may be, right? You're watching videos and getting through them, and you're consuming social media and all these different things. It runs time flies when you're always on some Occupy type shit. You could speed up the videos, right? But that's still, a 30-minute video could be compressed to about 15 minutes, right? That's 15 minutes of you getting edified, but you're not even noticing that time is flying. You see? So you count that all together. Next thing you know, you're like, damn, the day is already done, And things are just because you're always occupied, you're moving, something is always happening, Phones nowadays, it's just like, yo, And I remember years ago, I used to read books and I used to go into all these things, like how the future is going to be, and people are going to be crossing the street with their head down in their phones, watching. I'm like, and nobody's going to hit them? That's in my mind. I'm like, nobody does that shit. Like, you crossing the street, you don't even have your phone on you while you're outside. Like, I remember when you go to school, you leave your phone at home. You go to school, come back, and then you could check your phone and see what's going on and so on and so forth. You don't leave the house with your phone, but now your phone is with you everywhere you go. And it's literally like throughout the day, you get on your phone, bing, 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 bing. It's like constantly things are happening. Notification. It's always getting your attention. That shit drains out your time. All right. It drains out your time, but that's all designed. It's all done by design. It's all to get your attention, your time. So it's easier for them to transition you into the MOTB reality, because this is all part of the MOTB mentality. Okay? Getting you accustomed to it. To be what's the perfect word for this? Desensitized. There you go. Okay? Desensitized. Because now you got, it's crazy. You got the news actually saying, oh, a microchip has been put into people. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. It's like, it's not sci-fi anymore. It's just, medical technological advancements for beneficial uses. That's kind of how it's being presented. It can make you something more than what you really are. Like, sick shit. Anyway, continue. It says, once accepted widely, refusal will mean digital exile, being cut off from the very tools that power daily life, payment apps, right? Public transportation, communication platforms, okay? Beijing has justified the move under the guise of data security. There you go. Claiming it will shield users from fraud, leaks, and unscrupulous corporations. That's crazy. Nobody asked you for that, but anyway. But the central irony is glaring. In trying to protect citizens from private misuse of data, the government is monopolizing that power for itself, okay? And it's not just the government, okay? It's those who run the people who run the governments, right? The NGOs, okay? People like Larry Fink and BlackRock, okay? When they openly come out and say, we need to force behavioral change. We need to, You know, I'm like, who the hell is this nigga? Why the fuck you know? It's like they can't leave people alone. Oh man, in the kingdom, it's gonna be something else. All right. He said we have to force behavior. We have to change behavior. You know, and that's what they're doing. Okay, that's what they're doing. It says, imagine a future where every tweet, text, purchase, or post is linked to a government-controlled digital ID. Okay, that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark. Without compliance, you can't do nothing. This is where stepping out of ideological line could mean being digitally silenced. Okay, where the state, not your conscience, not your community, and not your faith, determines what is acceptable to think, say, or do. Okay, hey, say hello to Palantir. It says the danger. Say hello to what's the other one? Oh, Oracle. Okay. I think Sam Altman is also working on another thing. I think it says something one. All right, one something. Okay, you got Elon Musk with Neuralink, right? You got Gil Bates also working on talking about he gonna see hit babies in the womb before they come out. So, I mean, hey, but you know what? The man of sin is being revealed. All these things that they're coming out openly and saying, people just got to put the pieces together and be like, yo, this is the agenda. This is something that they just magically over the past 5 years just spawned into their minds. Like, oh, look, we should create a world just like this. We should engineer it this way and go that way and treat people this way. And hey, by the way, you own nothing and you be happy. And you eat bugs, debugs, all this dumb shit. Listen, bro, this is something they've been planning prior to 1776. Okay? But at that time, 1776 is when you had Adam Weishaupt, all right, from Ingolstadt, Germany. Okay? And he basically conjured up, all right, the plan on how they can come about with the so-called New World Order agenda. And all through the generations, they've always put their hidden esoteric signs out there for the world to see. All right, even on your dollar bill, to let you know this is the energy, this is the current, the currency that we're using. This is how we're coming about. Okay. All right. So scripture says that whose energy, who's coming is in the spirit of Satan. Let's get that real quick. Okay. So 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Okay, let's go down. Verse 9. Actually, verse 8. Okay. It says, 2 Thessalonians 2 and 8, it says, and then shall that wicked be revealed, right? Whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, right? By way of who? The prophets. Okay. And shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. That's who? The return of Yahushua. Upon his return is when you see the destruction, complete destruction of Esau, Edom, and his empire. Okay. His empire goes down. He gets in slavery. He's done. 1,000 years after that, he's up out of there. The real Holocaust. Okay. It says, verse 9, it says, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness to them that perish, and to them that perish is all those who are going to be destroyed during the coming destruction. Okay, because they have received not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. Okay, so when you go, let's go back to verse 9, all right, and highlight the word. It says here, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. Okay, so let's go into the word working. All right, the working, it says energia. All right, and it says here, it says operation, okay, or strong or working. I like the word operation. Okay, it says in the NT, New Testament, used only for superhuman power, whether of God or of the devil. Ooh, okay. And what is all this so-called transhumanism all about? It's to make you superhuman. Okay, to make you superhuman. So the working, all right, the spirit in which they're coming in is through deception, as it says, with all deceivableness, right? Lying wonders. Okay, his job is to make you believe that you can become a superhuman if you take in his whatever he's going to be presenting to you, which is going to be known as the accursed thing, all right, the MOTB, all right, the idol. Okay, don't touch it. I saw the elder Yashuamba's lesson. I saw that today, and he was going into it, news and prophecy. And hey, man, I mean, damn, what else do you need to know? It's broken down perfectly. All kinds of different information coming out, edification, and you still got people out here looking for controversy and bullshit. Look at all this stuff that's going on. That's why we know it's going to be a heavy, heavy judgment, because the Lord has given us all this information. I mean, he's making everything plain. Esau is just making it easy for her. They got this whole chat GPT. That thing is exposing everything these devils been up to. You see? So we said it months ago. We say, hey, that chat GPT thing, AI is going to work against Esau. And now look, do the chat. Okay? So there you go, man. All right, there you go. Okay, but again, that's why they have to come in with their the signs and lying wonders. All right, it's all through their technology. Okay, you see AI advancing so they can easily perform these so-called miracles. It's all fake. It's all bullshit. All right, it's all going to be destroyed. All right, it's all part of the deception to get you to a point of no return. Okay, and China is just showing you how it's going to be done. It says here, the danger here is not just political, going back to the article, it is deeply spiritual, right? Because it's all going back to the time of the hour of temptation. Okay? This is what happens when fear is being tracked. Fear of being tracked replaces moral conviction. When compliance becomes the cost of survival. Ooh. Right? So if you don't bend the knee and take the C hit, then you don't get to survive. You don't get to live. When digital reputations replace conscience, right, going into what the social credit system, and truth is dictated by an algorithmic filter, okay, we risk birthing a generation that no longer knows how to speak freely, think critically, or even imagine dissent. A generation raised to self-censor, not because of law, but because of the ever-present digital eye, the panopticon. Okay. It says, make no mistake, this is about reshaping not just how people interact online, but what they know, what they believe, and ultimately how they behave. Okay? Larry Fink, remember? As one expert said, the CCP is not merely filtering information, right? You notice Xi Jinping is worshipped over there, okay? Because he's created a system, all right, that forces that. Okay, it says they want to change, it's reshaping how people interact online, right? So that means content, like they say in the world, content creation. Stupid, right? But even that, on that level, okay, it says what they know, all right, the information that people are going into now to know exactly what's going on, okay, what they believe, okay, so your faith is going to be attacked, and ultimately how they behave. Okay, your personal decisions, your thoughts, your words, your actions, whatever, is all going to be tracked. And it's going to either, benefit you or it's going to penalize you. Okay, where you have everything on your digital ID, right? Digital ID is going to be encompassing of your health records, your driving records. It's not just a driver thing, it's for everything. Your travel, all that, passport, social security, everything is on there. And then the next step is going to be to see it. Okay? But at least they'll get the people conditioned to a point where you go, listen, look, you have a fine that you got to pay. Don't worry about it. We don't even have you. We don't need to see you at the court no more. We just deduct it from your CBDC, the Central Bank Digital Currency Bank. Okay? We just deduct it. Boom, your account, no problem. We take care of it. Okay? Who want to live in a world like that? It says, as one expert said, the CCP is not merely filtering information, it's redesigning the information landscape itself. The goal is not surveillance alone, but conformity. It is to create a population that is not merely watched, but one that watches itself. This is the end game of unchecked digital power. And unless democratic nations push back not just against China's policies, but against creeping digital authoritarianism in their own borders, we may wake up one day to find that the infrastructure of control has already been built around us, and it already has. Okay, it's too late now. And also, it'll always be too late. You know why? Because it's prophecy. Ain't nothing you can do about it. All right? It's way too late to even start an uprising. You're going to get mowed down. Okay? It says the answer is not to ban digital ID systems outright, but to build them with transparency, accountability, and ironclad guarantees of anonymity, choice, and data privacy. Man, I don't know what this guy is on. Any system that centralizes this much power without such safeguards is a threat not just to privacy, but to freedom itself. It says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a charagma in their right hand or in their foreheads. Okay? So the causeth is what you're seeing. And as we get closer to the C-hip, the causeth becomes a lot more draconian. Okay? It says, because if Beijing's model spreads, and history tells us it will, then the digital prison of tomorrow may be built not in the name of tyranny, but in the name of protection. And by then, it may be too late to escape. Okay? And not just protection, right? But also, more of giving you the spirit or the sense of going above and beyond who you are now, right? Basically telling you that you can become a god. You can become a god, and that's the deception. People nowadays, because of all this vanity, all right, modern day vanity has caused people to really inflate their ego to a point where they think they're important. People really think that they are like really important, man. It's crazy. All right, you see all these chicks on IG and social media, and the way they behave, you'd be like, you really think you are really important? That's amazing. Like, look at you. You see all the crazy shit. I'm like, man, how? Why? What world is this? Everything is turned upside down. It makes no sense. I remember there was a time where you got all these chubby chicks, call them chubby chicks, and fat girls. There was a time where they didn't want to be seen like that. Nowadays, you got fat girls thinking they some bad bitches, some fine shit, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? They got the sass, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, first of all, shit, you're not even on the radar. Why are you behaving like this? Check yourself. Stop it. You got way too much confidence, to be acting like that. It's a different world now. It's a complete different world. Step up to a man of the Lord and you got that kind of behavior and you look like that. Why hey, you infuriate brothers. You gotta be careful with that. You gotta get in shape. I seen the elder Apostle Gabar getting into it, the food, getting into the dieting and so on and so forth, man. The health benefits of it. It's a responsibility. It really is. And the better you are at it, the better you feel. Better you feel. All right, but just pretty much what I wanted to bring out, right? Once again, going into these articles, all right, it's just highlighting the times that we're in. All right, so nobody can say, "Oh, we didn't know, it just happened." Nah, man, you were warned. All right, it became nauseating to a point where it's like, all right, yo, y'all always bring out the same thing. Yeah, because it's called a warning. And no, it's not the same thing. It's always a different thing. All right, but yeah, we're here. We're here, man. We're seeing the prophecies. So, Barakatah, how about Shemel Shah for that? Okay, but let me just finish off with what I started earlier in Ezekiel. That's a nice way to end it off. All right. It's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 12. Start off at verse 22. Actually, verse 21. It says, "And the word of the Lord Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, what is that proverb that ye have in the land of Israel, saying, the days are prolonged, and every vision faileth," right? And hey, There's a video that there's one Itazwan did yesterday, I believe it was yesterday or the day before. Okay, and I believe it was titled "Don't Be Like This Guy," something to that effect, right? And yo, man, bro used to be the guy he was showing used to be in the faith, and he fell out, whatever the case may be. But he was texting back and forth. The guy said, yo, hey, these countries just, they just talking. They're not really, they ain't nobody gonna pull no trigger, whatever, and so forget about being out of here in this incarnation. Like, you're not gonna be seeing that, it's gonna be years down the line. We're not gonna be, we're gonna be here for a while type shit. Very, very aggravating words to hear, we're gonna be here for a while. And he's like, I'm tired of waiting. You're tired of waiting. He's tired of waiting, man. Hey, this thing, hey, man, he's just about to go do his thing because he's tired of waiting. Like, come on. I'm like, well, let's read. It says, the Lord says this, Ezekiel 12 and verse 23. It says, tell them, therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh power, I will make this proverb to cease, and they shall no more use it as a proverb in Israel, but say unto them, the days are at hand, and the effect of every vision. Okay, let's get that. All right, to pair it up with this, the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, and verse 3. It says, verse 2, it says, and the Lord Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. And that's what we're doing now. Okay, going to the words, breaking it down, making it as simple as possible. All right, taking meat and then actually breaking it to the point where it becomes milk. For just using for the figurative speech. Okay, easy to understand, so to speak. Right. It says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time. Okay, and now is the time. Right. But at the end, which we are in the end, it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. So what we're seeing is the real deal. Okay? All the past times you see certain things, they come up and then goes down. It comes up, it's like, oh man, I thought this was it, man. Yeah, I really thought this was it. But now when we get to the end, it shall speak and not lie, meaning it's fulfilled. We're seeing it. And we're seeing all these things happening, man. They're actually talking about the MOTB outright. They're just talking about it, man. Okay? So that proverb, that Jake has always had, we know it's been years, man. My great-grandmother been that bullshit. Yeah, that shit is all dead now. It's all dead because they're suffering. They're suffering. Okay? They've been suffering the past 5 years. They're suffering. People are suffering. Okay? But now it's about to get worse. Remember, the Lord says, the beginning of sorrows, right? It says, for there shall be no more any vain vision nor flattening divination within the house of Israel. So you're not going to be going to TD Bakes and he be telling you all this dumb shit, talking about, this is going to be a year. And God has already shown him that it's going to be your year. And, every year is your year, but you never, bro, stop. It says, for I am the Lord Yahweh, I will speak, and the word that I shall speak shall come to pass. And how does the Lord speak? He speaks through his men. Okay, his men, starting with our elders and apostles of Great Millstone on down. Those are the true men of the Lord. Okay? You got those who say they are men of the Lord, and you got the true men of the Lord, the prophets. All right? It says, it shall be no more prolonged. For in your days, O rebellious house, will I say the word and will perform it, saith the Lord Yahweh power. Again, the word of the Lord Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, behold, they of the house of Israel say, the vision that he seeth is for many days to come, and he prophesieth of the times that are far off. Therefore say unto them, thus saith the Lord power, there shall none of my words be prolonged any more, but the word which I have spoken shall be done, saith the Lord Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai. Okay, so we're seeing it. Keep watching and keep praying. For the days are evil, but indeed the days are at hand. Anyway, I'm ended off there. Lord willing, you are edified and informed. In closing, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rachak Kodesh. The Wadi Yahal Bashem Yahushai. Until next time. Shalom.